Hi, Chris Kuselis. IT consulting is my chosen profession, but when I'm not sitting behind a computer monitor, I like building things. So I'm going to share a project with you that I designed and built. Hope you enjoy. This is a custom built-in cabinet and bookshelf enclosure in what could be considered dead space between two rooms in a home. But the cool part is the homeowner wanted a hidden space to put a safe behind the bookshelves. For my IT security folks out there, I built in two-factor authentication. Something you have, which is this magnetic latch release, and something you know exactly where to put it to get it to open. Listen for it. There it is. Access to the safe. I hope you enjoyed the project and the video. And if you want to hang around, I'll show you exactly how I laid out the two bookshelf doors. Thank you. We're going to be using these pivot brackets to mount on the top and the bottom of the bookshelf case. Now, you can order the entire bookshelf cases online. It'll come with the cases and it'll come with a jamb. And then these will be mounted exactly where you need them. But when you're building a custom bookshelf case, it's kind of a hit or miss. You're gonna have to figure out how big the opening needs to be when the doors are open and where the bracket needs to mount. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. The physical opening is 47.5 inches. Since there's going to be two drawers, we're going to want to draw a line in the center to delineate each side of the drawer. So that dimension is going to be 23 3/4. And it always makes sense to check it from both sides just to make sure your math's right. 23 3/4. Now the safe is 12 inches wide, so we'll need at least 12 inches of space once the doors are fully open to access it. So we're gonna be safe here, and we're gonna make it 16 inches of space. You know what, let's make it 18 inches of space. So we'll go 9 inches each direction from the center. So now we have the overall physical space. We have the center marking for both doors, and we know where the doors are going to have to be when they're open so that we can access the safe. So next part is we're going to start laying out the doors. We're going to use this pivot bracket here. There'll be one set of these that mount on the bottom of the bookshelf doors, and one set that mounts on the top. So we know the overall size that we can work with here for each set of bookshelf doors is 23 3/4 inches. Now we know that it needs to pivot within that space. So I'm going to put these blocks here to represent where the actual sides would be. The other piece that we know for sure is that to put the books within these shelves that I want on these shelves, I'm going to have a finished size of 10 inches. So what I did was I went ahead and cut this at 10 inches because I know that's how deep I need it to be. And then I cheated this down to 22.5 inches because we know it's gonna have to be smaller than that because it needs to pivot within the allotted size we have. So as I start to spin this to see if it'll work, you can see it starts to push the boards out. So the easiest way to do it is get it to where we know we would pivot it out at. So that's about right there. So this is still right on the line. This is over the line. So now I'm gonna make a mark over the line. And then I'm gonna take that measurement. That's about 7/8 of an inch. So that tells me I need to be about 21 5/8 for it to pivot within the distance we've got. So I'm just gonna make it 21.5 inches. So I've cut 2 templates to represent the size of the bookshelves. And then I've placed them on the drawing that I did. So they're both 1 1/8 from the center and from the sides. The next piece here is determining where the hinge goes. I'm sure there's a mathematical way to do this, but I did it through trial and error. And if you can look closely, it took me 3 times to figure out where they needed to go. So I went 2 inches in, and then I went 5 3/8 in for both sides. I'll put these screws in to represent the hinge swing. All right, not only do they swing within the area allotted, they also give us that 18-inch access that we need for the safe. So next, we're gonna build the bookshelves and we're gonna mount the brackets. I built both cabinet bookshelf cases and we're ready to mount the pivoting hardware bracket. So the template that we built, the screw represents the pivoting bolt on the pivot bracket. There's 2 pieces to this pivoting bracket. There's the piece that just swings, that the cabinet that it mounted to this actual cabinet, and then there's the piece that the bolt actually threads into, and that's going to get mounted to the frame of the cabinet that we built. So let's mount this. I used that dimension to figure out where this hole is. I'll mount the other set of hardware to the bottom of the cabinet and to the other two to the other cabinet, and we'll get this thing installed. So I used the layout that I made in my shop to determine the dimensions to mount the pivot brackets on both of the cabinets, tops and bottoms, and the face frame of the cabinets. This one is already assembled and attached and working properly. Now let's install this one. We're going to install these using 2 hex head machine bolts and an Allen wrench. First, we'll place the cabinet where it belongs and line up the lower hole. And we should be able to position the door roughly where it goes and hit the top hole. Once we have them both in position, we can tighten them snug. And here is the 2-factor authentication. Something I have, which is the magnetic release for the lock, and something I know exactly where to position it inside the cabinet. if I don't have the magnetic latch release and I don't know where to put it, I can't get in. Now let's try the cabinet out. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please come back for more IT insight and woodworking projects. Thanks.